I'm Frank at Cyclopure. We developed DEXSORB, a novel absorbent to remove PFAS. It's selective for PFAS. We're an innovative technology, so the company's been around since 2016. And to start and scale a new technology to enter the water industry and get adoption, it takes a lot of development and a lot of support. And we've had a lot of support from the government. If you look at my bio, we have been supported along the way by NSF, NIHS, EPA, and the Department of War as well. And so all of that funding has helped us become a mature technology that is now being commercially deployed across the U.S. As Administrator Zeldin highlighted, it's important to remove PFAS out of the water cycle. So distribution is obviously a critical point so that it's not being consumed by households and residents. But at the same time, you want to be removing it from discharges, so it's not going back into the water cycle from industrial activities, leachate. And then you want to tap the storage, which is groundwater remediation as well. So being selective, we're able to work in each of those environmental matrices. So we can work at the drinking water level, we can work at industrial. The industrial side is an economic side as much as it's a health side, because we work with semiconductor companies. Obviously, there's a huge amount of that is going on these days with the advancement of AI. We work with the automobile industry and metal plating. We work with landfill leachate. We work with pulp and paper. So pretty much any industry that you see that is now facing the challenge of removing PFAS and the extra cost needs to have an efficient technology to do that. So we're working in that sector as well. Another space that is challenging is households that are on well water. So roughly 15% of the U.S. population is on well water and not covered by municipal drinking. And so that is an area where we're working with states to test water. We use our technology for water testing. We also deliver point-of-use systems that can be used there. So it's really important that people that are on well can have access to tools to determine whether they have PFAS in their water, and then a solution to do that because they're not on municipal systems. So, and in terms of cost, I think that, one of the biggest challenges, as Administrator Zeldin highlighted, is cost, because PFAS is a tax now that is on industry, it's on drinking water plants, and so how do they do that? They can do it from settlements, from litigation, they can do it from rate increases, they can also do it from government funding, but it's a cost. And so with our technology, DEXSORB, we're selective, so you need less of it at implementation, you need less infrastructure. At the end, and the back end, and this is how we work with both Claros and Veolia, we can desorb the PFAS, reuse the media, but we also isolate and capture the PFAS concentrate, and then we take that to folks like Claros or Veolia for destruction. So that's a huge, if you think about a project that we're working with in New Jersey, it's 500 metric tons of media. Well, when you get to change out, you've got 500 metric tons of media that has PFAS in it. So what we can do is desorb that PFAS, concentrate it, and then take it to, to a destruction vendor. That's extremely important in reducing the cost. So if we can reduce the cost, we're also reducing that funding cap that people are looking to do through government funding or class action settlements. So I think up until a point, the process of capture and then disposal, destruction, has kind of been non-integrated. So you could have the transfer of PFAS waste to the destruction vendors has been quite costly. So I think if you can have technologies like ours that can concentrate the waste stream and integrate it with the destruction vendor, you're going to have a much more efficient process all the way through the treatment side. So I think it's a little different between water treatment and maybe destruction. So water treatment for PFAS is pretty straightforward. It's just like traditional methods, packed bed filtration or gravity. And so we go into communities across the country, whether we're in Nikiski, Alaska, Muscle Shoals, Passaic Valley, New Jersey. The workforce is actually pretty trained and sophisticated because we're just saying, hey, here's a vessel, you're putting in a different media type, and basically you've just got to monitor it. And then when the media is saturated, we take it, replace it, and then we concentrate it, regenerate it, and then send it off. So I've been pleasantly surprised, across the country that, the engineering firms that are supporting, local small communities and the people that are working at the plants are extremely proud of the work they do and are very well trained, actually. So, like I say, we've got something that's in a remote part of Alaska where, it's serving 85 residents, right? So I think maybe it's a little different in destruction where it's a little more complicated than our side, but it's traditional stuff and we're just drop-in replacement.